to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Grateful, excited just for one more day and an opportunity to bring you information to equip, educate, empower, and elevate individually, our communities, all we encounter. So let's get started. We're going to start today with some global news, how we can impact the world and stay aware of what's happening around us. I want to share today a traumatic impact that I felt when I learned about the World Health Organization sounding an alarm around the worsening health situation in Sudan. Right now, they've dealt with over 1,200 deaths of children under 5. The deaths are primarily because of malnutrition and a horrible outbreak of the measles. There are more than 500 suspected cases that the government is currently dealing with this epidemic and the outbreak challenges. Officials have said the world has the means and the money to prevent every one of these deaths from measles and malnutrition. However, UN officials agree that the results of this devastating conflict and the global attention, the impact is why resources are so small, so limited. Family, the deaths of more than 1,200 children under 5. This is a breaking point for health facilities in Sudan who are already limited. They're due to shortage of staff, life-saving medicine, critical equipment, and they're exasperating current outbreaks causing unnecessary deaths. This conflict in Sudan isn't just affecting those in that continent of Africa. It is affecting those in the United States who have family members in Sudan and those who just care as being part of one human race. Local health workers with the World Health Organization have called on assistance from every part of the globe regarding these very difficult conditions. And the international community can stand to prevent further deaths if we could come together. Also, we sound the alarm on the high global rate of hypertension. We hear hypertension when we discuss a lot of information or when we bury loved ones, and there's oftentimes they've dealt with chronic health or chronic heart conditions. But do you know that there's a global epidemic? There's a global impact right now where the World Health Organization and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, are both elevating the devastating global impact of high blood pressure, along with the fact that there are limited resources in many minorities communities. And that's around the globe. A report was recently released that said 4 out of 5 people with hypertension are not adequately treated. But if countries can scale up coverage, 76 million deaths could be averted between 2023 and 2050. We have to think about the future when we look at where we are right now. It's true. Hypertension affects 1 in 3 adults worldwide. Mm. Look to your left and look to your right, family. 1 in 3 adults. And it doesn't matter what continent you sit on. This is a global epidemic. The common deadly conditions lead to stroke, heart attacks, heart failure, kidney damage, and many, many other health problems. And the number of people living with hypertension and high blood pressure has increased between 1990 in 2019 from 650 million, that's the floor, 650 million to 1.3 billion. Mm. Global epidemic. Doesn't matter your skin color. It's about the care of your heart. Family, we at the Power Up elevate this global information, these statistics, because it's important to not just be equipped with what's happening in the world, but know how it can impact your community. Older adults and genetics can increase this risk of having high blood pressure. We know oftentimes it's in our DNA. But risk factors such as eating high salt content can also make a difference. What is in your diet? Family, also limited physical activity. Movement is so key to how we contain and grow and continue to elevate our lives. But this is on a global platform. So at the Power Up, we also want to leave you with some how-to tips because in 2021, hypertension was primary the contributing cause of almost 700,000 deaths in the United States alone. Almost a million deaths were just in 2021. Family, your blood pressure matters. How you deal with life, what you find in your neighborhood, in your world that can help you live long, happy, and healthy. It's an estimated 46% of adults with hypertension that are unaware they even have the condition. So, speaking with a medical professional is of the utmost importance. At the Power Up, our job is to equip you with the information so you can figure out what to do for yourself, for your family, your community. We recommend that you go to the United Nations World Health Organization to get resources, www.who.int. This is an international organization that carries global statistics on the outbreak of the measles in Sudan, how those babies and communities are being rapidly affected, and what you can do to help. Because it's not just a Sudan issue, it's a humanitarian issue. Go to the World Health Organization's website to get educated on how you can make a difference. Also, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention gives information globally, but also on the United States platforms to help you know about hypertension, about any disease, even the measles here in this country. What you need to know as our babies prepare, as they're back to school, as they go to camps, as they get involved in extracurricular activities involving other people. How can you prevent an outbreak here in our country? The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, was in the forefront of sharing COVID-19 tips and guidance so that we could figure out how to address that critical pandemic. Their job includes being a resource for anything that impacts the human body. You can make a difference. Family, as we discuss this global news, we also remind you of how important it is for self care, how important it is to educate those around you. Don't just say, oh, that's Sudan where the measles are, because that's ignorance. Here we come to give you the information so you can be prepared, be a resource for others on what's happening and how we can prevent or help deter a massive pandemic in your area, in our world. Be educated and then figure out if you can donate, where is the best to do that, how you can best help. And just remember, most importantly, you have the power to make a difference. We're glad the Power Up team thought this was crucial information. Our hearts are extended to our brothers and sisters in Sudan, across the water, dealing with many disasters and many outbreaks. This is just one that we've tapped on. But knowledge is power. Family, we have a power packed show coming for you where we're going to step further into the how we can be the best where we are, how we can be that resource, and how we can be prepared just in case. Don't you know that civic associations and volunteer organizations need you to make a difference? Whether you decide to be selfless and join the Peace Corps, the military, whatever you take for you to decide to be someone working in another country, over the waters, overseas, or whether you decide right here where you are in your town, you are the one that can be the difference. We hope this information was helpful as we continue to lift and render aid to those around the globe who are dealing with the many disease outbreaks and disasters. Family, we're going to continue with this education, but stay tuned because there's more after this.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry Y. Hicks of the Amazing Fab Five, and I am here to tell you to tune into the Empowered Morning Show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the WIN Network.
Welcome back, family. I'm your host, Tammy. Here at the Power Up, our job is to make sure to educate, equip you, so you can be the one to empower and elevate your community. We're now going to go into our emergency preparedness segment. This is important because there are some things that are just out of our control. Life, for example, there's a prayer that I learned at a young age called the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer says, Lord, help me to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the wisdom, the courage to change the things I can, and then the wisdom to know the difference. There are some things in life we have to plan for just in case. You know how you pay that car insurance in case there's an accident, how you keep that life insurance because we know the inevitable will happen. So, to prepare your family for the in case, family, emergency preparedness is not something that should take you by surprise. In fact, the key word is prepare. We want to share interesting information and timely facts because there's a lot going on in the world that is important that you're aware of. First, do you know that emergency preparedness in itself just means it's a term to make sure that you're safe before, during, and after an emergency or natural disaster. The plan itself is important because it helps with safety, which should always be number one. Whether a natural disaster or man, sadly, we are experiencing times when we deal with a lot of devastation at the hands of man. That's why there's push for gun control laws, for ways that we can help our communities to stay safe. So, whether you are impacted by a hurricane or an earthquake like those in Morocco, more than 3,000 individuals deceased. Wildfires in Canada that have been raging for months now, and the citizens are breathing that air. We think about in the United States 9/11, how it was a man made disaster. Those requiring us to already have emergency exits. The city had to already have ways to shut down certain streets, open certain streets so that traffic and those fleeing could get to a safe space. How you are prepared is what's important. Let's talk about it. There are some things you can do that are so super easy that it'll make a difference in the moment. I want you to think about it this way. If you're ever in a place of a fire, you will probably not be in your right mind, right? We don't automatically think, calmly and collectively when a disaster is happening. We end up having to go with what they call that memory muscle. We end up going with what we think and we do without having to put a lot of brain power to it. Okay, I know this is where this is located. I know I have to do this. Let me call these people. Let's plan. Let's prepare for evacuating at least twice a year, starting with your home, your job. Do you know where the exit doors are? And here's the thing, just because it says exit, do you know where it leads to? When I was in kindergarten, we used to have evacuation. We used to have fire drills when we were little, so that all the little people knew everybody runs over here. You go to this location, you wait for your teacher, get across the street from the building. Everybody knows you go, because as a little person, you're not skilled enough to think about how to handle a fire. Do I look for a fire extinguisher? Do I consider if this is a fire you can put water on? What kids, they just need to know where to go. Have you spoken to your little people about that? At least twice a year. Consider your own emergency preparedness evacuation. Practice so everyone in the house knows. Okay, here's another one. Grab your emergency kit. You have your kit prepared with your flashlight and your batteries, with your emergency phone charger, the battery, just in case power goes out in the area. Blankets in case it's cold weather. Ponchos in case you're in the rain. The things you think about you might need in case of an emergency. Is your car weatherproof? You have your blanket in the car. You have snacks. You have whatever you might need in case you have to sit sadly on that highway for 24 hours because it has happened. Family, consider your drive, your evacuation plan. Where you're going if you make it to your car. Does everyone know where to meet up? All right, if something goes wrong here, we're all going to go uptown and we're going to meet at this pizza spot. Don't care how you have to get there. If you're on the train and you can't reach me, if you get up on the bus and we can't talk to each other, if somebody's phone is dead, I'm going to be sitting at this place waiting to see you. Going to the library. I need everybody to know this is the library. Mama's house. Do you have your location? Safety first. And yes, we're in the information age, which means you gotta make sure, family, you have your backup, that extra phone charger in the car, so that when you get where you're going, you can plug on in. Now, many folks, especially those who are emergency responders or those who might be like myself, a law enforcement chaplain, we know to keep a change of clothes, we know to keep extra sanitizer, latex gloves, masks, those type of things, just in case there's a car accident and we end up rendering aid or supporting someone, right? There's other stuff to help keep bodily fluids from touching. You don't have to get that deep. And can I make it even simpler for you? You can go on any place where you purchase regular goods and services. They have first aid kits and even emergency preparedness kits ready for you to purchase. Come on, somebody that can't remember what to put in a kit. It's meant to make you safe. You've got to prioritize those 6 P's: people, pets, papers, the phone numbers, got them written down in case your cell phone goes, and your important documents. Where are they located? Are they in the fireproof safe in your house? The fireproof box, just in case. Come on, family. No one wants to have to experience these things. We're not claiming them, we're not asking for them. We are preparing because sadly, if you live around others who might not be as conscientious as you, their habits can cause something horrible that impacts you. Why not be prepared? Family, know what type of disaster to expect. Watch the news. Stay educated. I had someone tell me the other day, I don't watch the news. I get sick of hearing all that bad stuff. That's all they talk about nowadays. And I said, Mama, you're right. They have nothing but bad news on the news. But the important thing to know is the news. There are some apps that come to your phone that just have weather updates. You don't want to hear about all of the stuff that's happening in the community that might be negative. At least stay weather conscious. Power so that you know what to do. Sign up for alerts in your area. Every city has a way to sign up for city alerts, county alerts, community alerts, town alerts. Go on that city's website and get alerts so that you know if there's an escaped convict in your area. You know if there was a fire up the street. You know if the local school is on lockdown. You know if there's going to be a traffic backup because of construction. You want to be aware. Sign up for local alerts. If you're not going to purchase that emergency bag, pack your own bag, honey. You know what your baby snacks are, you know what they like to eat. Develop your action plan so you are empowered. I don't know about you, but this is good stuff. I got to live by all of this and check and make sure I'm right. Have your own bag, have your own resources, have your numbers. We're so phone conscientious now. Can I make you laugh? My pastor said the other day when I went to church, he said what's interesting is that at the end of the year, they have so many Bibles that people have left at church. But if somebody leaves a cell phone, they have people open the church back up on their knees under the seat looking for that cell phone. Come on, somebody. We are so conscious and live by our technology. If that's the case, and technology is your lifeline, we're in the information age, then you have to have a plan of action that considers that. If you can't get to the numbers in your phone, are you really going to, in a moment of panic, remember those numbers? The spouse, the children, remember all the numbers you take for granted, and you just push the baby's name and it calls your granddaughter. You just hit M for mom. You just hit, and it just pops up and rings. Then, will you remember those numbers? I don't. Take time to write down the crucial numbers that a minor in your house needs to know. Put them on your refrigerator and keep that list in your emergency bag. Y'all, this is real good. Just to help you prepare. If you find yourself at home where you have to stay in place, prepare your pantry so that you have the water bottles, so that you have the snacks that won't perish. Come on, those trail bars, those different things you can eat that can last over time. Because when you're hungry, you're not going to be worried about having that fresh stuff you cooking on the stove if all the electricity is out in the area. Your stomach is going to need nourishment. All we're recommending is that you take this opportunity before the disaster to get you and your loved ones prepared. Great tips from the from FEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. You can go on their website and get resources, get educated, get information real time, sign up for their alerts. FEMA is the entity that whenever there is a natural disaster, they are required to immediately dispatch people to that location. While others are escaping, while others are fleeing, while others are grabbing what they can and running, this agency is federally accountable for responding to emergencies around the United States. FEMA.gov is an amazing place to get resources on how you can prepare for emergencies and the different type of emergencies to consider. We shared information today on how you can care for your home, your car, your mental awareness, to know what's going on. We didn't talk about preparing if a hurricane is coming to your area. Well, you got to board up your house, get sandbags, those type of things. If an earthquake is happening, what you need to do, run to the room, know where to go. FEMA is a great resource for those type of information, for those type of statistics, how often they might happen. They can even tell you in your area how possible it is. FEMA.gov. We also recommend that you consider if you want to make a difference for those who are impacted by disasters, both caused by humans, man made, or those that we don't have control over. The American Red Cross needs you. You can save a life by donating blood. Do you know that your platelets can save 7 lives? And here's the thing for people that say, I'm not donating blood, I'm going with what I came with. Come on, I've heard people say that. I want you to consider something. You ever find yourself in a car accident, sad, or in a place where you've lost an amount of blood, you'll need that transfusion. And I promise you're going to be so grateful someone was selfless and decided to donate to support you. How about be a giver and contact the American Red Cross? They have forms on how you can donate blood, and you can donate monetarily if that's what you prefer. They are an amazing resource, amazing way to write off your tax contribution to assist someone in need. Your blood goes to the babies at the children's hospitals fighting cancer. Your blood goes to those who are in most need in the world. Your blood is going to impact someone. Your money can do the same. You can both donate monetarily to redcross.org. Wow, family, we hope this information was helpful, making sure you're equipped. And here's the great thing, if you just happen to learn something new, how about share it with somebody else so that they can get equipped? They can think about being prepared, because what you don't want is the emergency to happen and you're in a bad situation. Sadly, shelters get full of individuals because they forgot to pack. They grabbed the purse and they grabbed the baby and didn't think about the supplies they might need in that situation, where just having that bag in the top of your closet by the door, grabbing it in the trunk of your car, could have totally made the difference. So, how about using this time you have now to prepare and show your greatness in the moment? We hope this was helpful to you. Emergencies happen. So, how about be the difference in it? Family, we're going to continue with discussing emergency preparedness after this. So, stay tuned. There's more.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Do we really believe God loves us, or are we too focused on how much we love God? Deuteronomy 31:8 tells us God will never leave us nor forsake us, meaning he will never leave us physically or neglect us emotionally. He is concerned about our physical, mental, and emotional health. So why are we distracted by short-term financial problems when we serve a long-term, permanent, solutions-oriented God? Did we reach out to him first before we borrowed the money? Did we give him the opportunity to whisper in one of his angels' ears to sponsor us or pay for us? Did we discuss the job offer with him, or did we jump at the opportunity to make an extra $2 an hour doing double the work when he gave us the business idea, wanting to grow and stretch us, fine-tune our self-discipline so we could handle the multi-million-dollar dynasty and be his channel to bless others on their life journey? How quickly are we to say without saying, "I got this, God. Let me call you back"? Then when we realize our limited vision and short-term solution cause some long-term problems. Let us not grow tired of seeking him on every financial decision, and let us never forget that our focus should always be on how much he loves us. So when our back is up against the wall, we know we have a Father who will always cause us to triumph on the other side of the challenge. We need to consider it pure joy to go through God's process on the way to financial blessings rather than to suffer the consequences of a bad financial decision. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
Welcome back to the Power Up. Thank you for joining us. We hope this information has been helpful thus far. So let's keep going. As we consider emergency preparedness, we want to now go into a segment with our most vulnerable population, those who we often forget about, and we want to make sure we can support the trailblazers around us. We want to discuss aging and how we can provide senior care. This is timely when we think about preparedness because over the last week, FEMA had released a disaster preparedness guide for older adults. In this guide, a lot of information that was touched on helps to remind us about caretaking and how we can help make sure that our seniors are also prepared in emergency cases. First, I want to share that you can get this newly released disaster preparedness guide for older adults by going to ready.gov/older adults. Newly released, hot off the presses, FEMA took the time to make sure to pour knowledge into our communities on how we can assist those who are in the most needs, oftentimes being our seniors. So here at the Power Up, we want to make sure to tell you, get the guide. It can be very helpful. And see, we often think about seniors as mom, dad, that favorite aunt we have. I want to encourage you to make sure that we consider our neighbors, those aging around us. They still matter. Many of them created some of the phenomenal programs that we may use. They've created some of the great opportunities for our young people now. Many of them may have been our teachers, our educators, our encouragers as we were younger. So, how important is it that we take this time to highlight our aging and senior population? Assessing their needs and knowing the risks is extremely important when considering how you can assist them during emergencies. And just like you want to make sure there's a plan. And that includes checking on your neighbors, making sure that the community around you is knows there's an evacuation route. Have you seen that this isn't a street you're going to be able to go up? Or Miss Mary, who might be your neighbor, if something happens, you just get in the car and ride with me. You don't even have to worry about nervous or anxiety or if you forgot your medication. We're going to make sure together that you've got a safe place to go to. Just give me your daughter's emergency number. Come on, family. We're one human race responsible for each other. And building a strong network includes emergency planning. Do you have the number of Miss Mary's caregiver in case you notice something and someone should be called? Family, there are easy steps in this guide that it takes the opportunity to make sure to tell us about. That we got to make sure to consider how we communicate, how we involve, how we care. Because again, when a disaster happens, it's your muscle memory and what's written down versus you logically thinking many times. So let's go on Miss Mary, who's a neighbor, for a moment. Do you know if there's any health conditions? How about having a conversation with Miss Mary to have her just write down her information, put it in a sealed envelope and in an emergency bag? It's not something anyone has to talk about. Miss Mary's business is hers. But if you can assist, and if she just knows you're ready to help, she might be forthright in the how. And how many of our seniors have pets? Pets are important in with the aging population because it gives them activity. That dog has to be walked. So Miss Mary's gonna get up at least twice a day and she's gonna make sure to get old Fluffy out the door. And companionship. But in case of an emergency, we're not leaving Fluffy in the house. Is there emergency information about Fluffy? Is there a way to make sure that there's something in the bag so that Fluffy's eating? If Fluffy has to now commute, family, knowledge, once again, can't say it enough, is power. How is have you helped Miss Mary pack a bag? Do her children have your number in case there's an emergency and they live out of state? So Miss Mary is not having an anxiety moment or panicking because she doesn't know what's going on with her baby. She can't reach them. Do they have a way to contact you and say, listen, this just happened in my city. I need you to go sit with mom. I haven't been able to reach her and I don't want her worried. Family, can I share this thought with you? We're all going to age. Life happens to everyone. Wouldn't you want your neighbor to care about you? When you're 80, 90, come on, 100, don't you want others who care to be available and helpful when you need assistance? We've got to get out of the thought that, oh, that's them, they'll figure it out. That's a lonely, narcissistic place to be. Because then that means it's just all about you. Here at the Power Up, there's no judgment. We just want to help. How you prepare the same effort for you is just as important with our seniors. Also consider that as you age, your body's going to age. So if you know Miss Mary has a walker, that's important information. How you can be able to evacuate to a place where you can get supplies on the other side. It's not that you have to go and cater to Miss Mary. You don't have to know all her medications. She's independent and living her life. But do you know that just communication can help in a moment of disaster? In other words, if there's flooding happening in your area, if there's a hurricane coming up the street, that's not your fault. It's not Miss Mary's. But you both want to make sure you can survive it and be better on the other side. Consider tapping into this guide. It gives some great plan tips on how to make sure that our seniors are prepared. FEMA, once again, is a great resource. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So they don't just talk about when a hurricane happens, I'm coming, or flooding or earthquakes. They even deal with how to care in those moments. Consider tapping into them. As older adults know, disasters can be very traumatic because they've lived through many already. You ever think about that? They in themselves might be a phenomenal resource. Consider the National Institute on Aging under the National Institute of Health as another viable resource specific to the aging population. Listen, are you a caregiver and just need some tips? Just need some resources? Want to get helpful real time information? Let's say I love to help my folks who are naysayers, so I want to help for a minute. Tammy, I'm certified. I know what I'm doing. I've been caretaking for seniors for a long time, including my mom, including my dad. I want to tell you this for my folks who've been doing it for a long time. Times have changed. There's new information that you need to be aware of, new resources. You can tap into databases now that send information to your email. Every day, you could be getting brand new information. Did you know about this FEMA guide? There are ways you can stay so aware that you are a resource, not just caring for the individual in front of you, but people come to you and say, wow, you always have information, and I just don't know what to do. Where do I go? It's about being prepared. Family, the National Institute on Aging has information on menopause, has information on um, uh, uh, anything that would touch someone who's aging, Alzheimer's, brain health, clinical trials. We know medications are expensive. There are some clinical trials that maybe the individuals who are aging qualify for, where their care is free. Even gives tips on how you can make sure to help that individual stay physically active and mobile, even in a limited state. One of the things I love to do as a fitness professional are the chair workouts. Folks think just because they're in a wheelchair or they have had knee replacement or hip replacement that they're stuck in that position. Can I tell you something? There are some folks, hear me clearly now, there are some amazing paraplegic athletes, no legs, Olympians that are out here living a healthy, amazing life. See, because at the Power Up, we don't live in limits. We're out here trying to be great and amazing. Consider tapping into the National Institute on Aging to help with how you can assist seniors with being physically active and nutrition information, healthy tips, healthy eating practices, not just a diet. Oh, you can't have this, you can't have that. Who wants a diet with a whole lot of can'ts? How about researching on what we can? Finding some amazing new tastes. Come on, there's information. See, because as you age, your diet changes. That's why seniors eat less. Their stomachs can't handle that. Their throats change, so their digestive tract changes. Swallowing changes. Everything changes when you age. We at the Power Up want to make sure that you know where to go to get information to help you, Mama, Miss Mary, the parishioners, your book club, whoever you might be surrounded with, not just during emergency preparedness, but in life. Family, we hope this information was helpful. I learned a few things myself. What's most important is getting the knowledge, equipping yourself, being educated on where I can go to get more information. We only have an hour show here. And then being the one to empower and elevate the people around you. Stay tuned. We're going into our wrap up because this has been an amazing segment. There's more after this.
Hi, guys. It's Tina Wynn, your host of the podcast, You See Me. I want you guys to stay encouraged, continue to come out and see me, and most importantly, see yourselves. Remember, the only way that you can truly enjoy life is to see other people so that you can enjoy the beauty of seeing yourself. Come join me Saturdays at 4 on the We Empowered Network. Thank you.
Welcome back. Wow, what an hour. Starting with global news, how important it is to remember that we are one human race. We extended our hearts to those in Sudan who have lost over 1,200 children, family under the age of. Can you imagine giving birth and going through those first few years and loving up those babies to lose them to malnutrition, not enough food, and a new outbreak of measles they're dealing with in that area? So we extend our hearts and appreciate the World Health Organization elevating this crisis so that we're conscious of those around us who are family members of those in Sudan, and who we might be able associated with in many different ways. Thank you, World Health Organization, for the work that you do to advocate and make a difference around the globe. We also think about the global crisis that was elevated on alerting us of the global hypertension epidemic. Family, hypertension is something we hear about all the time. Diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, usually all rolled into one. Do you know that it's a global issue? You ready? 1 in 3 adults around the globe deal with this diagnosis. Hypertension is reversible. So it's not a death sentence, but what you have to do is be aware. Sadly, there are more individuals who don't know that they suffer from this disease, that it impacts their heart and blood circulation, that circulatory system in your body. They're not aware. So then there's no treatment, no adjustment to lifestyle, just so that you can be better. Consider that physical, going to be preventive and getting that checkup. Hypertension is a global issue. And if you want more information on how you can be better in your community, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention is a great resource. We learned that during the COVID-19 epidemic, when the CDC became one of the on the forefront and a pioneer in helping to get vaccines and education out, including in front of the press and on national platforms and at your door. They started mailing masks and finding ways to get you a take-home COVID test. The CDC has resources real time available for those who might be dealing with heart disease, hypertension, any type of disease. Consider tapping into them as a resource. Again, our hearts are extended to our family in Sudan. I couldn't imagine over 1,200 little people because they are our future. Many from malnutrition. There are ways you can help. Consider tapping into those resources. Also, we took a moment during this show to remind you of how important it is to prepare for the emergency and disaster. That way, when it happens and you're reacting, you're just in the mode, you're trying to run, you're doing what you can to get everything around you, you're making sure you're in a place getting to safety. How you can prepare and plan and have your own fire drills so that your babies know, here's the list of emergency phone numbers. If for some reason you can't get me, you call this aunt, call this cousin. This is the neighbor's house across the street. If I don't hear from you, I'm going there first. You want to make sure that you establish a plan. Remember those important P's we discussed, right? Your papers, making sure they're secure, your pets, making sure that you have every part of you in place, the people in your house, that they know what's going on. Make sure, family, that whatever you do, you're considering all that's necessary so that you are safe. Make sure you get your bag packed, that emergency kit. And if necessary, order one from somewhere and start there. You can leave one in your car. If you're the type that's always in your car, why don't you have a kid in your car? Always, you can have one packed in the top closet in the house in case you got to grab and run, that just happens to have this and this and this, a bag of some dog snacks, a bag of, a few extra Pampers, whatever you might need. You know your life, you know your family. We encourage you to stay prepared. Phone numbers written down, and those all important documents. You know you have that passport and you need it. Where is it so you can access it if you have to run? You can get another one. It's not worth your life. But if you know there are things like medications, and for those who rely on their phone, that emergency charger, that battery pack that stays charged so that it's ready to go. Family, being prepared is what will save a life. Remember the resources you can tap into with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They are one of the best, most reactive agencies whenever there is an emergency of any kind. We did not, within this hour, touch on the many types of disasters. You can do the resource and educate yourself so you can empower those around you. FEMA is an amazing agency that does a truly important work in a moment of crisis. Consider tapping into them to be educated. Also, the American Red Cross needs you. You want to know how you can make a difference? Monetarily and even through blood donation. Your blood can save multiple lives, multiple lives, babies to older folks. You don't know, and it's not really that you gotta know, it's that you have a heart to give. Because our Power Up family, the We Empower Network Nation, we are full of givers and world changers. What can you do to be a difference where you are? Tap into the redcross.org to get more information, how you qualify to give blood, or even how you can give your cash donation that I promise you is going to help somebody in need. Then we went into our amazing seniors. Y'all, we're surrounded by some phenomenal seniors. They have taken their lives to build so that we can have our lives, our grandbabies, and our grandbabies' grandbabies. And in their senior golden years, their winter season, they may need you as well. Sometimes making sure that while you're including your emergency plan, you talk that over with the senior around you. FEMA took the opportunity to help release a guide that's just on how to assist with disaster prevention for seniors. Go to ready.gov/older adults. Recently created, hot off the press, a guide that you can share with the senior, talk about information, ask them some questions, just so you have a little information in case you got to grab the neighbor and run, or in case you need to help one around you. Aging is going to happen. So even if all you do is get the guide to help you prepare as you look at the next 20 years, the next 30 years, come on, hundreds. It helps to make sure you think about the medications, what you need for your care now. And again, doesn't have to be public information, but let's start with writing it down. Seal it in an envelope and put it in a bag with a change of clothes, emergency, so that you know if you have to go to a hospital and the family's not there. Look, this is what the daughter left. This is the information, her medical information. This is what we know about this amazing veteran. He uses a walker because he had knee replacement. It's all written down. He takes these meds. Again, family is about serving, helping, and giving because we care. You can also go to the National Institute on Aging. They're under the National Institute of Health. The National Institute of Aging, information, menopause, Alzheimer's, how to help seniors help with healthy eating because diets change as your body changes. And most importantly, how to keep them mobile and moving and enjoying life. Because just because you age doesn't mean it's over. Because it's not over until God says it's over. All right, family. Listen, it's important that we take the opportunity to celebrate our seniors and make a difference. We at the Power Up want to end this segment by reminding you that you have the absolute ability, the power to make the difference where you are. Right now, our United States is facing a government shutdown. At the end of the fiscal year every year, which is September 30th, the government, if Congress does not pass a budget, shuts down. That means that Congress has the ability to, all of the folks who get any federal funding, whether they're programs, senior services, our military, and those who work as contractors or federal employees, museums, those who do the lawns. It doesn't matter if they're federally funded, funding stops. Congress has yet to pass this bill, so we will continue to remind you that we need your help. Please take a moment and find your house, your representative by going to the U.S. House of Representatives website, house.gov. It gives you an opportunity to find your representative and how you can contact their office. We need to ring their phones off the hook, write letters, fax them if you got a fax old school, email, whatever you need to do to let them know this is not okay. Our military has to stay funded. Our seniors' benefits should never be compromised. And there are folks who are on Meals on Wheels and aftercare programs for the kids. So many who reside and need this the the bill to be passed. Family, house.gov. Also, reach out to your senator, your United States senator. These are folks you voted to put in office. They're responsible for making sure that your neighborhood is getting the resources it needs. Senate.gov will also give you the information on how you can contact your senator. We need you now more than ever to be an advocate, to make noise, to say it's not okay, and to educate those around you so that our communities are rising up and letting those we put in office know we care, we hear, and we stand united for what is right. Every year we deal with the possibility of a looming shutdown. Our Congress has to do better. And we're the ones responsible because we vote them in office. This is simply holding them accountable. There's too much that is federally funded. It's not just services that you think your tax dollars don't need to support. These are programs you're not even aware of that help us all. Counties get assistance from the federal government, states get federal assistance, and there are many who are employees. So when the shutdown happens, they won't get paid. Family, house.gov and senate.gov. Please help us by elevating this issue. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time.